Hi everyone, I'm Reea and I'm here with you today to introduce Mark Bedwood. I had the great opportunity of talking with Mark today. He is an international trance medium and channeler, and he's here in Australia, and he teaches trance mediums and channelers from all over the world. So I hope you're going to enjoy this interview as much as I did. Here's Mark. Do you have anybody in your family that has psychic abilities at all? Did you come
Um,
from a lineage of that?
I think the vast majority of anybody working in this trade has something in their family tree somewhere, and those of us that had parents which were open to spirit, all of a sudden a little bit of ahead of the rest because they grew up with the acceptance of it,
Yes.
not having to fight this structure of society saying that's all woo-woo stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, yes, mother had ability, two sisters, one in particular has ability. None of them did anything with it.
Yes.
And my intention was not to do anything with it. I
Yeah.
had little bits of experience.
Yeah.
My mind was, let's meditate and see where we go. And then all of a sudden I'm doing healings, and then trance started, and then mediumship started. Mine was healing, trance, then mediumship, not the other way around.
So did you ever, do you see that you have any what we call psychic ability? I mean, let me clarify that, because the difference to me between psychic ability and channeling is just, it's just a different way of pulling in information, right?
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
still,
yeah,
it's very, very similar. But I mean,
yeah.
How do you see that?
One thing I've discovered over time, and this is the voice of experience as opposed to, anything I've read, is that I know now that all my readings, be it psychic, mediumship, trance readings, or even let's call mentorship guidance and classroom work as a teacher, are in essence the same thing. When you first started mediumship or psychic work or any of those work, you start off doing the readings and you may say, got to talk to you about your job. And then there's a gap, and then your job's not good. And then there's a gap and you're thinking of leaving your job, for example, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you change that word into mediumship, I think I've got your father. He was tall. He's got a blue coat on, whatever. And as you develop that, rather than bullet points, it becomes a paragraph.
Yes.
And seems to improve. And then what happens then is it stops being a paragraph and it becomes a story. And during these times, people say, I've got clairsentience or claircognizance or whatever they've got. And I now believe that clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience gets in the way.
Really? Okay.
Because the readings that I do when I'm working correctly, assuming I'm not having a bad day or something, there's no mind involved in it at all.
Yeah.
I don't stop and think, right, there's father, what do you look like, father? And talk about it, or you're having a problem with your job and think about it. I don't doubt anything now, so it comes out in a flood. And I say to people, do you want a pen and paper to write notes down? I'll say, no. And they'll say, I remember it. I'll say, no, you won't.
No, you won't.
Here's a pen, here's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you 3 facts here.
Yeah.
I might be giving you 300 facts.
Yeah.
300 bits.
Yeah.
So I've stopped this here, clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, maybe not 100%, but a lot.
Yeah.
And I now just talk. So you sit for a reading and you say, sit down and say, right, let's start. And it's blur for an hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the middle of that, I go, hang on a minute, I've just got to take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as it comes out of my mouth, if I'm hearing it, I may say, can you really take that? I just heard that myself. I didn't hear it. This process has stopped.
Yeah.
So it's the same with channeling. The process becomes a flow. It starts for some people as, got to talk about love. Love's really good, whatever. And it starts as bullet points in channeling, and then eventually those who are proficient carry on, keep practicing. You see the whole thing, and it's consistent with the other point of view, and that is, stop putting things in the way.
Yeah.
Just do it.
So you think everyone can learn to channel?
I think everybody has the ability to connect with spirit and then to express that quality of spirit. For some people, it'll come out as words. Yeah. Some people, of course, will come out as artwork.
Yeah, music.
Some people maybe healings, writings, physical mediumship.
Yeah.
And even the awakening to your true self is a case of just get the stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, your fears are in the way. Your blockage. I can't do this because I can't. Whatever.
Yeah.
Forget it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And then those people who learn channeling at times from other organisations, they get structure put in them, with them. And right at the beginning, structure can be useful. But then they come to me and I say, all right, forget it. Just do whatever you got to do. Stop saying it's got to be, I've got to do A and then I've got to do B and then I have to give a result as C. Well, what about if you just told them C?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And stop being this little block of a little me and become the big me, the real me, the spirit me. And remember when we were talking about meditation, I realized that all I have to do is express the qualities on the other side.
Express the qualities on the other side. I don't really.
The spirit. Express the spiritual qualities.
Right.
Rather than battling these objects which are in the way, my fears, my pains, my ridicules that I may be hurt or damaged, or the can't do's, or the should do's or have to do's, just be yourself.
So anyone who really wanted to learn how to channel could do it. But, the thing I realized when I first started learning to become a life coach, and then I went on and I did lots of other therapies, hypnotherapy, past life regression, a whole bunch of stuff. You go off and you learn how to do all these things. And the thing I realized in every course that I did, there was only a small percentage of people that actually took that knowledge and awareness and went off and started being of service to others and actually using it in a professional sense in a business. That most of the people that were in those courses never ever used it again, even things like hypnotherapy and stuff, which I was always amazed about. And I'm thinking, is it the same with channeling? The people who learn channeling don't necessarily, use it to become professional. Some of them just use it for themselves.
Yeah. And if you want to use it just for yourself, then maybe there's merit in that, and fair enough. And that's your way. But I guarantee you that everybody will start the channeling, and if you gave them a little form to fill out and said why, they would put, I want to help others.
Yeah.
And you see, the empath, the nature of the person, the empath, the person that's here for to make a difference, to feel. Of course, they're the most pain people, can be anyway. Really, an empath is just somebody that's learned to work with the heart, is willing to let their heart go, to love, to risk the pain of love. They generally fall in love easily and quickly, and then they get hurt by it, and then they get oversensitive. I shouldn't be so sensitive. And other qualities. They are learning the ability of opening their heart and letting go. And so then, of course, they get given the test of a narcissist that comes, There's very few empaths that have not got a narcissist somewhere in their past. It doesn't have to be their husband or wife. It can be mother, father, workmate, you know. So that is your test. Can you be that? And you see, for me, the empath is learning to express what is there, but then does it with different fears and can't fully do it, can't fully let go. And one of the worst things I think anybody can have, in my opinion, is that they can close their heart and become cold-hearted.
Well, there's a lot of people shut down. Well, narcissists are some of them. There's a lot of narcissists on the planet.
Well, certainly is. It's kind of nature of the beast. But remember, the yin and yang symbol, the two fish, one white, one black, and they've got the opposite colour
white
eye.
And dark.
Yeah, so the white fish has got a black eye, black fish has got a white eye. And I believe that also every empath has a little bit of narcissism in them.
Yes.
And every narcissist has a little bit of empath in them.
Yes, yes.
So the empath then is to wake up the narcissist and say, stop being a narcissist, look what you can do, do you know?
Yeah.
And the narcissist says, you like a lot of control. You know, you like structure and order. Maybe you've got to let go a bit of that, work with what you've got, and don't blame me because you've got it too, you know?
Well, I mean, I think the empaths learn how to have boundaries and how to love themselves and not completely give their love away and let, lay themselves open and become vulnerable. I mean, that's not wisdom as far as I'm concerned. No, so to me, the whole narcissist empath thing is kind of a microcosm of the battle of light and dark on the planet, and that's what we're all doing here.
Yeah. Do you know the important thing within that, that symbol of, the two fish, as we just said, it's not actually the fish and it's not the colour. It's the circle that goes around the fish. That's the important part of the whole diagram. Everything is one. You're living in a duality. And which does that also not say start with spirit, work from there, and stop putting things in the way of it, and work through the beauty of what you are, and it's easy said, not always easy done, but it's the truth.
Is there a difference, getting back to channeling, is there a difference in your mind? The first channels that we had on the planet, like Edgar Cayce, Jane Roberts channeling Seth, Carla Ruckett channeling the Law of One, they were all in a deep, deep trance. So it was unconscious. They were unconscious at the time. And now the channelers on the planet are more conscious channelers. I mean, you go into a deep trance, but you're not completely gone, are you?
My depth varies. I can be completely gone. I can be gone and then pop back up.
Yes. Yeah.
And I often have this debate with people. They say to me, but I'm not deep. I'm still light, I still remember, I still listen. Okay, and what's the problem? And the depth for very few people is instantaneous. Instantly, close eyes, I'm in depth. Sorry, I'm in deep, right? For the vast majority of people, it is a gradual process of deepening.
Yes.
And there's some excellent, and I mean really excellent people who only work in a light trance, who remember stuff, can still tell you things about what's going on and can help you a lot. Even though they're there and they're conscious about it, their truth is they are open, their heart is open, they let the flow happening well.
Yeah.
So I'm not there to criticize somebody because they're light and a light trance state. Well, let's just work with it. Let's work together. Let's get deeper and see what's there,
Yeah, well, I mean, Esther Hicks channeling Abraham, she doesn't take very long to go into that trance. It always seems to me that, I know she was deeper when she first started channeling Abraham, but now she's kind of fairly present from what I can see. It only takes minutes.
Well, did not some of the people that you heard in physical mediums be aware of what's going on? So we got physical mediums. By definition, you would think they have to go into a deep trance, but Flint didn't. He was direct voice, ectoplasm voice box, could communicate consciously with his voice box of the spirit of Mickey. Yeah? So then, by definition, he's not deep, he's not really good. It's just rubbish, isn't it? So if you are a light trance medium, let's work with it. That's fine. Let's work together. Let's not put obstacles in the way of saying I can't be. Well, maybe there's deeper to come. But let's work with that.
To me, the proof is in the pudding, and the proof is in the information that comes through. But, you know, there's also that thing that even, like, I'm a conscious channel, but I don't remember what I've told my clients afterwards. I have no memory of it. But if I'm counselling someone or life coaching them, I'll remember all their story and everything about them and everything they told me, you know, in the course of the session. But when I'm channeling, it's just gone. You know, it's like waking up from a dream. You just can't get it back.
Totally. I think there's sometimes too much self-criticism, criticism of others, or expectations. Let's work with the people that where they are. And if you're light, you're light. Light trance, and we'll work with it. And as you just said, so much good can come out of it. I think it's more the fact that, again, I'm going to repeat you, say that who they're working with and how much they allow them to work is more important. You know?
A lot of the people that come for readings want future predictions, and that's really the only reason that they come and have a session with someone. And I kind of call that crystal ball gazing. And I'm, you know, my guidance is always really hesitant to do that, as a lot of the channelers on the planet are, because, you know, we're creating our own reality in every moment, and we're not meant to know everything. That's that's the way I see it. How do you see that?
The prediction of the future. I don't care from the point of view. You know, if my guides will come through and say, "Look, tomorrow you're gonna get a new job, or you know, your house will sell on the 15th or something." If that's what comes through, that's what comes through. If somebody wants to come and only wants a future reading, I don't think they're with the right person for a start. I think you might as well go to the local market and fair and get somebody to talk to you there. Truth will come out of it. But if do you want to know really what will make a difference in your life, or do you want to know that you're going to get a new job tomorrow?
Yes.
And of course, there's horses for courses. Some would say yes, some would say no, and so be it. And you know what? In the classes, I say to students that the biggest obstacle you can have in the class, and your easiest way to do all the exercises. So if you're a beginner student and you're doing advanced work, it's exactly the same, and that is stop doing the work. So what I mean by that is you stop doing the work, let spirit do the work.
Yes.
And the more you try to do it, the more obstacles you put in the way to it. And the working through any of the exercises, and no matter how hard, no matter how many things you're doing at the same time, are actually nothing to do with you as the medium in trance. They're all to do with letting spirit do it. The act of practicing trance is not so much about learning techniques, other than learning the technique of letting spirit do the work. So stop trying to do the work, let spirit do it, you know, and then they'll do whatever work will come, you know. And then of course, hence the fear gets in the way. So if you remember, we spoke about a simple exercise that was given by my guides to help people, an easier way to blend in trance or channeling, if you wish. But not only for that exercise, but also the way to handle situations in your life. And I think, as I said to you before, and that was this exercise, I had people coming to me and say, this was the best homework I've ever done. And I say to them, this is life-changing potentially, right? If you do it. If you don't do it, of course, it's not going to change your life. And that is if you take it from a trance point of view, when you're blending with spirit and you're starting to call your team towards you. So you close your eyes, say, guys, come on, build up the love. Fill your heart full of love. And people say, is that it? Yeah, that's it.
So like think of somebody that you really, really, really love.
No, you don't need an object.
Okay.
You don't need an object, you just need love.
Yeah.
Build up love. Yeah. It's not about I'd love the dog or anybody, you know. And it's just build up love. Because the act of blending is the act of loving.
Yes.
You know, and if you love your guides, do you not trust them more? Do you not let go more? Do you not then let them do the work more? Mm. Do you then not find love in your heart, which you talk from this deeper level? You know, if you're a light trance, you're talking maybe here. If you're a bit heavy, you might talk here. Do you not talk different? Does the client not say to you, I just felt loved because you were talking to me from here? I mean, if you sit and have a coffee with your best friend and you talk from the heart, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Build up the love. And so
the clients leave feeling very uplifted and kind of transformed just from being in the energy of the conversation.
Just from being in the energy. And so there was one person in one of the classes who is a school teacher, and she said, I've got to have a big talk with the principal tomorrow. You've let me down, talk, you're not helping me, etc. It was like a heavy conversation, not just a chat. I said, okay, just as you go in, build the love, see what happens. But I think I don't really need to explain it, do I? You know, I don't need to explain what happened. The teacher then said to the principal, I feel this is going on. I feel, you know, you're not supporting, you're not helping, but I want to, but I can't, you know. She spoke from, you know, what mattered, not from the superficial. And the principal did the same. There was love between the two of them.
Yeah.
I actually used to do that. Conversation.
I used to do that when I was a teacher. I had a particularly bad roll call class first thing in the morning, full of all these horrible boys. And I used to get to the room early, and I used to fill the room with love and light before they even got in. And you could see how calming it was, and how different the time spent together was, even though, you know, it was only 7 minutes. But yeah, just from doing that. So yeah,
I've got a friend at the moment that has terminal cancer. Okay, she knows she's got terminal cancer, and not on top of that, of course, she has depression, and she has days of depression. If anybody ever suffers from it, knows that she just can't function. Tears all the time, emotional for her. And she said, "Can you come round?" Okay. Sometimes it's what you say, but other times you just have to sit.
Yes.
And hold the peace, just be at peace. And then after a time afterwards, I said, sorry, I said, I'm probably not much help. You know, you want to talk about your problems, and I'm just there, just being peaceful, you know, just holding the peace. And she said, no, that's, you know, the people, I want to offer solutions and offer problems and everything else. She said that I just need somebody to know somebody is there. Okay. What does this connect through to trance? But again, it's saying that connect to the love and let the teaching come out of there. Start with spirit, work from there.
Yeah.
And you know, we witness that in every day of our life to some degree. Yeah, just talking with your best friend from the heart, or sitting with somebody that's not well, or teaching or helping people. And this, of course, is the piece of, you know, is underneath everything. And then you get some people who are, I'm a medium, I'm fantastic, I've got spirit, I can do 3 readings or 5 readings a day or whatever. Okay. And then they will come home and be argumentative and I'm not helping them, they're not paying. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I'm perhaps exaggerating, but
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
sure
no,
you
no,
understand the
I get your
qualities
point.
there.
Yeah, you got to walk your talk.
Walk your talk. And you know, and
but that brings up an interesting thing, Mark, that I've thought about a lot, and that is that we live in a world where the people who are most well known are good at marketing themselves because they're good at blowing their own trumpets and telling everybody how amazing they are. And in actual fact, the majority of people that I know that I think are really truly heart-centered and you know, in their spiritual essence are humble. And so being humble, it's hard to kind of get up and go, I can do this and I can do that and you should come and see me. But that's, you know, people are attracted to that stuff.
Yeah, I get you. You know, when I was purely doing mediumship and psychic readings, I would advertise, say, come for a reading, etc. And then I realised it was pointless. And now, what I do is I ask Spirit, send me the people I need to work with.
So you don't ever advertise anymore?
I have done. And there will be posts about new class starting.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Because you need to tell people it's starting.
But, yes, that's the thing. You need to, in order to be of service, you need people to be able to find you. We do still live in third dimensional reality. You've still got to have a website and a phone, and
of course.
You know.
And it's true. It's just, okay, I'm here. Send me the people I need to work with. And it works. But it only works when there's that purity of heart and purity of channel. Those who you're alluding to are not saying, send me the people I need to work with. They're saying, send me another $100, send me another $1,000, send me whatever, a good report or a photo on a magazine or whatever, you know. And okay, fair enough. Do that. But you see, does that not also again connect? And that is sit in the essence and sit in the flow and let that take care of itself. And do you see the connection? And because it is a true connection, and that is just trust it to be what it's got to be.
I just want to go back to that, what you were talking about before about blending, because I love the way that you approach that. So for me, I've always been able to feel an energy coming into the right side of my body. And that happened during meditation after I'd been through a dark night of the soul. And that was kind of the beginning of my channeling experience. But after a while, I realized that energy was always there. All I had to do was tune into it. It was like my guide's there all the time. So there's kind of the blending gets more and more, continual over time. Is that your experience of it too?
Yeah, totally. When you first start, assuming there's not, let's say an illness or other things going on, then ignoring those times, basically you close your eyes and it's waiting, So you feel the sensations and they've already started and it's waiting for their cue. And really, it's not a case of blending then, it's a case of allowing. And a good little story was described to me, and that was, if you imagine you're driving a taxi and you're driving along, and let's say you're up to a train station or something, and the guy stands at the waves you down, jumps into the back seat, and he says, "Take me to the airport." And when it's done, the best you'll get is just a few little words of conversation, But let's say this client becomes a regular client, and you pick him up from wherever he was and take him to wherever he's going. After a period of time, you might say, "Don't sit in the back, sit in the side seat, sit here, let's have a chat. How you doing? How you feeling, Yeah. And then after a period of time, if you really get to know this person, you say, "Do you know what? Do you want to drive? Do you want to drive?" And I'll sit there, and you'll let them drive, won't you?
Yeah.
The act of blending is getting spirit from the back seat to the side seat to the driver's seat. And what is that? Is that not an act of getting to know each other, loving each other, feeling safe, feeling contented?
Yes, a lot of trust.
Trust and allowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, people say, oh, well, I trust my guides, you know, but all right, let's allow them to do the work. Allow them to do the work. And so hence the logic of just build the love.
Yeah.
It builds the trust, builds the connection.
When I first started, I had a lot of trouble relinquishing control, let's say, which is normal, you know, everybody does that. But because there were a lot of channelers, and there are a lot of channelers on the planet who pull funny faces and they dribble and their nose runs and, you know, they talk funny. And all of that sort of stuff. So, you know, that all that used to put me off. Unfortunately, you know, my guide Maat isn't anything like that.
Whether your voice changes and whether your face changes is, to me, is not the point. You know, it's what comes out of the mouth as such if you're a speaker. And if your face screws up, it screws up. You know, it doesn't matter. And so be it. It's your way. It's not necessarily
and then
my
there's
way,
the eyes open and eyes closed thing. You channel with your eyes closed, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I do too.
They have opened my eyes at times, and I have been aware. Currently, I'm aware very much that my eyes are glued together. It's like I'm stuck.
Yeah,
I struggle to open
too.
my eyes.
Yeah.
And leading into the trance session for 15 minutes or so prior, I get smoky eyes, what I call smoky eyes. They get sore and tingly and can be problematic. But that's a sign of something else as well. But the development starts prior to seats and circles and whatever. You know, that there isn't that many people who channel with their eyes open or trance with their eyes open. The vast majority are closed, of course. It's their way. You know, there's a trance medium that dances in trance. You know, and he gets up and dances and hates it. That's his way.
Really?
He hates it. and he hates it about himself that he's a big guy and gets up and does ballet. Wakes up halfway through and goes, oh no, doing this again. And then another guide comes through and he dances another way. And he hates it, but he knows that it's an expression of whatever spirit is there. So, do you know, some people say you've got to talk and you've got to do this, but, you know, some people are painters, some people are healers, some people are maybe pottery or dancing or whatever. You know, we try and limit too much. We limit what is unlimitable. And say it's got to work within this way. I think that's just rubbish. Let's not limit. Let's just open up and go, this is it. And then if it's one thing, it is, and if it's another, so be it.
Where do you think channeling's going? Like, it seems to me to be evolving over time and heading, you know, becoming a bigger and bigger thing on the planet. Where do you think it's going?
To me, I feel like what's happening, it'll become more of a daily part of life. Not from the point of view everybody's going to stand there in a shop and start channeling, you know, whatever, some scripture to the guy who's, you know, just trying to buy milk from or something. But what I feel like is happening is at the moment we're at a bit of a crossroads as fear and current dramas are picking up. The undercurrent of channeling and also spirit is also increasing. And I think it's just a case that we are stripping away some of this falseness to relieve the truth of what's there. Now, not for everybody, not everybody's doing it, but those which are willing to be an expression of this, you know, then you see, do you actually have love inside you, or do you channel love when you're with, you know, whoever? Well, you know, it just seems to come through you and you allow it, you know, just comes through. And it seems to be just this body of love that's trying to break through this barrier of body to get to the person on the other side and let the love be there. And I think there's going to be a little time where we're going to have to go through a little darkness, but then over a period of times there'll be a bit more reality of what's underneath this. There's already a calling towards, well, let's call it Earth spirit, reconnecting to the planet, you know,
Yes.
American
Yes.
Indian culture and other cultures, you know.
Yes.
Let's find out about these. Let's come back to essence. The way of materialism has not seen us right. Yet, of course, those, you know, in control are very connected to the driving of materialism. So the rest of us have got to just work our ways. You know?
Truth's very big on the planet right now. What is truth? And it's pretty hard to discern for a lot of people. And I think channeling, like you just said, is going to be a part of that. People are looking for truth.
Yeah, and whether you call it channeling or just coming back to yourself, the true nature, the dropping away of what does not serve you. Yeah. There's a lady I work with within Australia, and she's got all sorts of things going on, some health issues, got a child which is going through issues, meanwhile is going through a divorce herself, and also quite a narcissistic relationship with her, she says. And she describes it, says, I see myself as one of those stone statues you see in Greece or something. And inside that statue is a light. And the stone's beginning to crack, you know, and as that crack forms, a little bit of light comes through. And then there's another crack over here and another one over there. And gradually more bits of light start to shine. And then eventually a lump of stone falls away and leaves a chunk of light, you know. And she sees her development that way. And I think it's a beautiful analogy. And that is, she's not trying to be anything. She's just trying to unbe what she was.
Yeah.
You know, she's not trying to find
let the light shine through.
She's just letting the light shine. That's right. Yeah. And you know, we've all got a few lumps of stone attached to us of issues and you know, problems and fears and whatever else. But all we're doing is letting the light shine. And again, that connects right back to the same analogy, you know, of coming back to the spirit self. So. There
were a few deep trance channelers on the planet who it appears that from channeling it put a lot of strain on their physical bodies and they developed kind of illnesses and things over time.
Yeah.
And so do you think conscious channeling is easier on the body and the way you do it, the way you teach it? Is it easier on the physical body, or, you know, is there a limit to the amount of time you can spend in that kind of trance?
I think it's a muscle that you exercise. So when you first begin, when we're doing the classes, 5 minutes worth of talk is enough. And then we go, okay, over time, let's do 10 and then 20, etc. So it's a muscle that you can exercise. So I did a session recently, which I didn't follow my own teaching. Do as I say, not as I do. And that is, I didn't sit comfortably. I sat on my hands, and my hands are under my thighs, you know.
Yeah.
And this was all well and good, except for it was 90 minutes. Right? And if it was 5 minutes, it wouldn't have made a difference. But 90 minutes, I'm looking and I'm thinking, my hand is there. I can see it, right? But I can't feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hence, if anybody's listening at home, do not sit in the trance state. Your hands are there. And 90 minutes now is not the norm. An hour is the norm. 90 minutes is within the realms of comfortable. 2 hours is a little bit of a problem at the moment. But hey,
yeah, right.
That's only a muscle. We'll exercise it.
Yeah.
And I did go through the same thought belief that you're inferring. Does it hurt the body? Am I going to be 20 years' time suffering the consequence of what this is? And two trails of thought came up. The one was, does that matter? And the other trail of thought was, Spirit, if I'm going to do this, look after my body.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Mm.
And the does it matter bit was quite relevant in that I think, as I said, was very busy, lots on the go, and then another task get given, you know?
Yeah.
And the circle leader said, when's he going to fit this in? Yeah. And Spirit said, well, he offered to be of service, you know?
Yeah.
And so then, of course, I just go, okay, that's what I need to do, so let's do it. And you know, there is a little bit of a thought processes to make sure that I am not doing this for me. Yeah. I'm not channeling for me. You know, I don't hear it. You know, I don't get it. I don't listen. Yeah, a little bit of the teaching sticks in here somewhere. Yeah. And I don't get it. So it's not about me. It's about whoever's sitting there in front, or a group in front, or whatever. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
So then, if I'm working truly with that point of view, if that is the truth, not just fluffy words, then the uncomfortableness of my hands doesn't mean a thing. Yeah, I don't particularly want it.
Except when they
let
fall
me
off.
truthful, but at the same time, it's okay. Let's correct your technique. So please do not sit on your hands for any length of time, and wear nice, comfortable clothing. So I did do it once in brand new pair of jeans, which of course are always a size too small.
Cut off the circulation.
Cut off the circulation. And anyways, perhaps don't do that either. Sit in nice, comfortable clothes is where you relax.
How do you feel about doing some channeling for us now?
How long have we got? Let's have a run and see where we go. Hey?
Okay, I've just got a few questions I'd like to ask whoever comes through.
Well, okay.
Who's likely to come through?
All right. Well, I do have quite a few of people. However, I do have three main communicators who do most of the talking. One guy sings and talks and lives energy and does clairvoyance or trance clairvoyance. Another guy brings through lots of love and peace and talks to you very beautifully. You know, another guy is a bit more direct and says, "No, you need to sort your life out." And then there's a couple of crazy people who have come through, and a few people which have crazy people, yeah. And you know, I don't mean negative, I just mean strange. And I did offer myself a service to Spirit, say, look, you guys need to learn. I'm sure if you want to do it to somebody as a training course for them, then we'll do it, you know. So I've had one-offs at times, people singing and whatever. However, I'm finding now that there's one guy in particular who seems to be coming through more and more and more and taking care of stuff. And over a period of time, he came into the group, let's say, I don't know, 2 years ago, whatever, and he gave us lots of evidence of who he was. Say, look at this, look at that, go and look at this book, look at this video, look at this, whatever, and you'll see this happening. We managed to track everything down relating to that personality, and because it was well known. And now he's declared himself and said, look, I have to tell you that we picked that personality because you were comfortable with that personality of who it is. And that personality will be available to you, but this teaching is not from that level, it's from another level. And so we kind of dashed all these hopes of who we thought it was, and now to discover that it's actually a different personality to who we thought. So
you don't send out and do any protection for yourself when you go into trance, and, you know, say we wanted to have a conversation today about channeling in Australia, sort of thing, you know, you don't call someone in particular?
Protection I don't use anymore. I did. And now I just say, guys, it's your job. You take care of it.
Yeah, I don't either. I stopped doing that a long time ago as well.
Yeah, let them do it. Again, it's trust, you know, the relationship. The other thing within the personalities that come through, they tend to match a personality to the client.
Right.
So one is quite light and jovial, one's a little bit deep, one's very deep, and one's direct and one's soft and gentle. And so I could be sitting with one person. If that personality is right for them, they'll get this one, and that one will get that one. So I don't pick it. I don't put any. It's got to be you, and you've got to talk about this. Well, that kind of negates what I've just said, isn't it? I'm just going to say, Mark arrives, Mark shuts up, and lets
whoever comes in.
Let it be. Yeah, and then it's consistent with the way it works. All right, so we'll drift away. Probably only going to take a few minutes. There's a very deliberate mouth movement. Each guide has a different one. It was started because in dark seance room, scares everybody when the voice is, it's pitch black, and then a voice goes boom, and shocked everybody. They all went to the other side. And I'm channeling all these friends now. No, I'm not. So they have a very different movement of mouth and noise. And with time, you would recognize by, that movement is this person. So one has a cough, one has a one has another thing. So let's find out, eh?
Okay.
We'll just see who wants to come through. We'll just let it be. All right, well, I'm going to sit on my hands because I know this is not going to be an hour and a half, and we'll just have a run for a while. Let's have a look. I've probably got about 25, 30 minutes.
What's the point of sitting on your hands? Why do you do that?
No, it's not for any particular reason. I've had him underneath, it's just comfort. Kind of wedges me in nicely within this chair to keep me straight.
I tend to use my hands and get very expressive when I'm channeling.
Although the hands do get moved at times, I find I'm better having all the energy come through with the intention of connecting to others. I always say at the beginning of channeling, don't just listen. If you're listening to the words, you're only getting part of it. You've got to feel, you've got to look, you've got to see how it feels to you. Do you know? Am I feeling the presence here? Is there a smell in the room? You know? And all that stuff. And look for lights, look for overshadowing, etc. All right? All right, so let's do it. Get the hands comfortable. All right. The connection of mankind to the world unseen is often seen by many as being somewhat of a problem and full of realms of difficulties, of veils, and also obstacles that need to be got past, got over, or got round. Yet the essence of man is far more pure than he gives himself credit for. And the belief is then limited to the body and the mind, when the ocean of love and all that exists there is available to him. It is rather like a tramp sitting on a park bench who does not know that he has $1 million in his pocket and chooses to sleep rough, when all he needs to do is to look within his pocket and his life can change. change from the state of being pure or poor into the state of being pure. Mankind says that he is destitute of all that exists, yet it is not true. He but needs to look within his pockets, and everything he wants sits there. It need not be a difficult exercise, but an exercise of no more of simple awareness, concentration, and then the ability to turn his head towards the light. Vast majority of the world, of course, does not know of this light. Yet it awaits for them. Some profess to do know the light, but they do not. Some will always feel destitute. Yet the truth is they are rich beyond measure. Now, I understand, my dear, you have some questions for me.
I do, thank you. So who am I speaking with?
Well, it's a name which I have been associated with. You may call me Ignatius.
Ignatius, that's beautiful. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you today.
It is but a label.
Yes, I understand. So, Ignatius, the topic today is we're talking about channeling. And so I'd like to hear your perspective on channeling, particularly in Australia. It seems to be much bigger in other countries in the world, like the US, not very big here on Australia. Are there any barriers to us channeling in Australia?
There is not. The barriers that exist within one country and another are in essence the same. Of course, it is both fear and the ability to turn towards the light and understand there are more options. It is an issue to let go and to be free. Within the primary cultures of each land, there is an understanding of the spiritual nature of the land. And when there is a spiritual understanding of the land, of course, then it is a connection to it and allowing that to be. The barriers you refer to within this country are generally one, population, two, awareness. If there was more awareness, then more people would turn their head towards the light. But of course, they have to be willing to turn towards the light. At times when there is a quality of life, when people are feeling wealthy, whether they are or not, then they avail themselves less towards the spirit. It is in their moments of drama and crisis that they turn towards spirit. The vast majority of people do not contact a medium or any other realms of expression until there is a problem. If life is going well, then why would you approach a medium? At best, it's curiosity. It is not to correct a problem. So at times, it is a problem to understand that people do not know of the light. They do not avail themselves of this opportunity. They then will not seek it. So it is one, in part, of availability, the promotion of it and the awareness towards it, where the potential lies. Now you may think, why don't we do something about that? Why doesn't spirit tell people that they can access this knowledge? The truth is, my dear, that knowledge is accessible by everybody. The spirit does not give this ability to just people that begin with the letter B, or just to males, or just to males of a certain age, or just to one country, or just to one person that sits in a far off corner within a forest or a jungle. Everything is given to everybody. We do not discriminate. The opportunity exists for all. It is not whether that opportunity exists that is the problem then. It is, why do they not access it? Why does this not become part of their awareness? So the issue then is knowing that there is a light available to them. And this is why we transmit knowledge or a need for some development, that you will find one side of the world is working on a problem and the opposite side of the world is fixing exactly the same problem without knowledge of each other. The request is sent, the energy is transmitted, one or two or three or four people may pick up on it. So the ability to channel, the ability to connect is given to all. It sits, it waits for you, and it waits for them. It is their choice whether they access it or not. And you may say then, why not? Well, they have to turn their head towards it. The undercurrent of spirit and spiritualism within this country that you infer to is not as established in any other than the indigenous races and those which come from other indigenous natures. The odd few, of course, have some access because of prior knowledge. So the target audience then has shrunk. And then, of course, it's available and the knowledge becomes available. So let me repeat. It is given to all, and the intention or the call is sent out to all. Few people listen. Few people then take it up. Few people then actually continue. So as a consequence, those numbers dwindle from millions down to a handful. And when there is only few within a population, of course, that means it may just be one or two or three or four. But when you get large populations, that handful can be quite substantial. So it is the work of people like yourself and like this medium and like other people as well, which give credibility to this, the connection through to this, and allows this to take place. So therein lies your answer.
Thank you. So I'm wondering what it is that attracts particular entities to particular people when we're channeling. For instance, do you have a relationship with Mark previous to his channeling you?
My connection with this medium began a little while ago out of interest. He was selected some time ago as a medium, if you wish, or a spirit, if you wish, to work towards this work. My dear, you are sitting on the tip of something else, which will become apparent through this medium at a later date. Now, the work that takes place through this medium does not exist or come into place because of something that happened yesterday. It begins because of events that happened many lifetimes ago. It then develops to such an extent that things need to be worked with, cajoled, and also manipulated so that then everything is ready for the right time. So it is like saying, if you have a cup of tea, it is not a simple fact of going to the kitchen and grabbing a cup of tea. But for that tea to be available to you right now, then that work must have taken place at least 6 months prior, you would think, in the growing of that tea. But if you think about that still further, the growing of that tea must have actually took place many, many years prior to that. Now, it is rather a cheap analogy that I give you, but let me sum it up. There was a selection made, and this medium was picked for this selection. I came as the body out of interest to find out whether this was working and also available to us through the correct channel. Had he achieved the level that we wished and required? In working with this medium, I was inferred and used the name which we are calling Ignatius. If this medium did not take the work that is yet in front of him, then this opportunity would have slipped by and we would have picked another. And we would have withdrawn this ability, and my connection in my purity would have gone to another medium. Now, in viewing the medium and the connection of where he was, we found that the ability was there, the energy was there, the purity was there, and also the understanding. You see, it's not just the ability that matters, is it? It's also the ability to pick the ball up and run with it. So it's not just the case of somebody having an ability to be a medium, to channel, or to be a healer or anything else. They have to then have the correct personality, the correct determination, and also the correct focus and a support network as required to do the work. Now, for the work that's coming, that those abilities I have just said sit with this medium. So my answer to your question is rather more complex than you imagined. Now, there are other personalities which are connected to this medium which have far more of an established nature. I am not the main guide, which is your inference to this question. There is another which is the main guide. However, I am the hired help, if you wish. The hired help which would take this plan, this intention, for it to go from 0 to takeoff level as required once the button is pressed, and finally now it has been pressed. There is no such thing as an overnight success. The vast majority of overnight successes take 20 years to get to that point, when it is pure and true.
You spoke about the necessary support network for this work that we're doing, channeling. Can you talk more about that? What sort of necessary support network are you speaking of?
Well, it depends on where that person is in that time. Has been said to you already, if that a medium comes from a family of mediums, or at least somebody accepting of it, then you'll find that their development and growth will become far quicker, and they will establish, and then they will progress on with skills far beyond what is thus thought. However, if that medium has none of that support network, or has people resistant to that network, you'll find that they first have to walk through mud to get to the other bank, and then their work can begin, and they have to battle certain mental conditions, of course, of fear and of ridicule and disappointing their family, or words like that. Now, there is also the network within the person's current life. So if their partner, their friends and family do not agree with their work, of course the work becomes harder, and at times this is swept under the carpet. And people practice in quiet, in silence, maybe locking themselves in a cupboard or a room. So the initial point of the work and the development is the allowance from others for this to occur. The support. Not only is it support physically, but it's certainly a support around the person spiritually as well. In certain situations and circumstances, then their life may have to divert and change path, as this medium's life changed path. They have to be taken from one path and put on another. They may be very happily bubbling along, heading into a direction, and all of a sudden find themselves working in another way. They think it's a conscious state. It is not always their consciousness that's keeping them there or changing where they are. So those around them, where they sit, where they are, is of vital importance. The medium will continue to develop, but if it's to develop to a sufficient level, other factors need to take place in the vast majority of cases.
So I feel like you're speaking personally to me there, because I've been very attacked about my work, particularly by my family. And every time that happens, I completely shut down and hide myself away for a few weeks before I can kind of get my strength back to reconnect with my work again. I don't have a support network around me. And I guess there's a lot of channelers in the same position that I'm in. So do you have any advice about that?
Two parts to that. The first part, of course, find yourself a group, etc. That is fairly obvious. The second part, though, is by you being your light, you unconsciously give people the permission for them to shine their light. So, let us create a story to explain this. Imagine you have a hearing problem and you are embarrassed to wear hearing aids. So then you grow your hair long and you cover your ears up so nobody can see them. But what if you accepted you wore hearing aids and just told the world, I am a little deaf, I wear hearing aids? Of course, you could use the example with people's sexuality, just the same. Here, the phrase, the truth will set you free, becomes very evident. And also, you are not hindered by the opinions of others. Just because your family do not accept you the way you are, you're playing small and you dumbing yourself down and closing yourself off does not serve your family. And I'm going to suggest to you it does not serve you either, let alone the loss of the spirit contact that could be used. You think that damage is done to you because your family say, no, no, no. The truth is you are listening to the mind and you're listening to the opinions of other people when they say you should not. Who are they to say? Why not you be proud of yourself and say, well, you may disagree, but this is who I am. I wear hearing aids. Does that not say to them, if you need hearing aids, then that's okay. If you want to follow something outside of, let us say, Christianity or outside of atheism, do you not then say to them, well, if it's okay to be yourself, are these not people who are afraid to be themselves and want to promote fear? And are you not standing up and saying, this is who I am? Is that not love? When you're confronted by fear, think about love. And your light will give them permission to shine their light. Your playing small does not help the world, nor yourself. I hope that answers your question.
It does, thank you. It was suggested to me by another channeler that when you are here to do spirit's work, then there are dark forces around that try to stop you from doing that. That came out in the Law of One in Carla Ruckett's work. They said that somebody was trying to psychically attack her to stop her from bringing that teaching through. What's your advice about that?
Well, let us answer it from the point of view of the physical form. Let us say you want to quit your work and you want to become something else. Let's say stop your job, which is highly paying, and you want to then become a monk or a nun or just travel the world swimming and surfing or something. Whenever you make a change in life, does not your ego first stand up and say, no, you can't do that. It is not safe. It is not wise. It is not the correct thing to do. You'll be letting people down. How am I going to pay the bills? Where will I live? I'm sure you understand.
Yes, I do.
Your ego first jumps up and gives you fear. Yes?
Yes.
And then as you begin the step, your ego then says, see, I told you this was the right thing to do. And then, not only encouraging you forward, then gives you additional fear, additional problems, until you do not listen to it and you take a step forward and stand in what it is that you want and do. Can you understand that analogy?
Yes.
That there is battle, there is doubt, there is fear, then there is resistance. But through all of these, you carry on and you do it. Now, can you understand that in regard to you channeling and being with spirit? And also this connects to your previous example or your previous question about the resistance with your family.
So are you saying that I'm projecting that resistance or negativity out from myself and from my ego, and it's being mirrored back at me? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying to you, either listen to your ego or you listen to yourself. Listen to your true self.
Yes.
Which one do you follow? Do you follow fear or do you follow love?
No, I follow love.
Well, then why listen to the fear?
Right.
So the fear starts to rise. It's a natural case where your human self, your bodily self, your mental self will put anything in the way to stop you working and stop you being who you are. It gives you comparison. It gives you criticism. It gives you separation, the ego. And it also gives you fear underlying all of that. And to the human body and mind, all of that sounds so real. Yet there is another side to the coin. The other side to the coin is the one of peace and love and joy and happiness.
Mm.
So if you say, if you wanted to surf the world, do you listen to the fear or do you live your life of joy? Is there not truth in the saying, do what makes you feel happy, rather than do what is expected of you? And I would believe, my dear, that some of the great leaders in your world right now, and I infer the Dalai Lama, when you are confronted with a decision between what is right and love, always pick love. So work from that position first. So how does this answer your question regarding channeling and the negativity that could be perceived?
Yes, yes, I get it. It does. Thank you.
It does. You understand. Start
Yes.
with love.
Yes, I do. I do.
Or as I told my medium, start with spirit.
Yes. Beautiful. So channelers do all sorts of different things. Mark and I were talking about that previously, but if we're talking about voice channelers, they too do different things. Some of them do what I do and work one-on-one with people. Some of them speak in front of groups. Some of them write books. Is it the just spirit that decides the way that channeling is going to play itself out in third dimensional reality, or does the person who's channeling also play a part in that?
If you imagine a river, and it starts with a stream, a very small river, and it runs down towards the ocean. The destination is not in doubt, is it? It will always, or the vast majority of time, go to the lowest point, and the ocean. So the river starts off, and it bubbles and trickles, may hit a rock or two, may even fall over the side of a cliff. So are you judging the river, or are you seeing the ocean? Or are you just seeing the water? You see, the water will take its course. It'll go by what is the easiest journey. It never goes down a mountain and then says, oh, I tell you what, let's go back up again. It goes down the mountain and carries on. The essence of energy goes to the medium, goes through the medium, and then will then hit different rocks, and it may divert itself in different ways. So the energy will flow very nicely through the medium and then come out at the other side. But it will need to go through the mind of the medium. If within the mind of the medium, if it is less than pure, it'll take the path of least resistance, in which case it will undertake the work which the medium is used to undertaking. If you started writing, then that is the easiest way, and writing will be the result. But if the medium has cleaned away some of the rocks, some of the debris, some of the things in the way, then the water can flow through the medium and carry on its merry way and become whatever it likes. So the expression of spirit has to work through the mind and may be divided off according to what is in the mind. Unless the mind is clear, then it will be whatever it is that it needs to be. Always look, when you are looking at a person that is channeling, as you say, always look for the flow. Is it an easy, natural flow, or is it full of rocks in the way? These rocks, of course, are thoughts, impressions, different knowledges, which means that the answer will come at least partly from the mind. The journey, the destination is assured. The method to get there at times may be somewhat unconventional. Now, we have time for one more question.
Can you explain to us how you are using Mark's body to give us guidance? I mean, are you impressing your thoughts on his mind, or how does it work for you?
When you look at a mind, if it is possible to look at a mind, you'll see a mass of different energy floating around. We step firmly into that mind and influence it. We have to use as much as possible what is there until the channel is clear enough and to allow other things to be given to the medium or through the medium. you think that we are stepping in, as I have described, but the essence is the barrier is being taken away. So if you imagine a circle surrounded by another circle, surrounded by another circle, by another, by another, by another. Do you say one mind is stepping into the other mind, or do you say the first mind has just opened a little bit and allowed the next mind to come in? And the next mind, and the next mind. So it is not one of stepping in truth. In truth, it is one of letting go and removing the barriers to what is already there. The act of blending, as you understand it, is not one of going, looking, finding, and saying, you will do, come here, let's work together. It is opening up to what is already there. Otherwise, how could everything be one? How could it be one if there is a you and a me and a them? The analogy would not fit. So rather you should look at the one circle inside another approach. And then just gently get rid of the things which are in the way. Fear, trust, control, ridicule, or anything else. And that is why I say to you about your parents and your family being reticent over what you do. You're expressing the circle which is bigger than your circle. You're saying to them, well, you do the same if you wish. It is removing the fear, removing the blocks, removing anything that is in the way. You do not need to go to find spirit. There is this constant belief that you have to go to the shop and buy, let us say, 1 pound or 1 kilo of spirit. And you've got to go to a particular shop and you have to go to particular hours. That shop is only open between 9 and 5, so I have to go then. Can you see how silly that sounds?
Yep.
So why not be that spirit 24/7, every day of the week? You need do nothing but stop being what you are not.
Yes, beautiful advice.
Now, God bless you, my dear. I step back and withdraw, and once more close that circle down.
Thank you, Ignatius.
And withdraw to my own. God bless you.